Hi guys, welcome to Out of Order with Ella. I'm Ella and happy Monday. We're already on week 3 of me doing this whole podcasting thing, which is so crazy. But I know last week I started with that whole presenting thing. I don't want to do that anymore. I just feel like that as each week goes on, I'm going to find what feels more comfortable and more natural to me. And while I loved the idea of that, I just feel like that I am not going to stay consistent with that. And I would honestly rather just talk and give updates of the week. Just kind of feel like that we're having a conversation about the things that I want to talk about, and that might change week to week. So we're just gonna wing it instead. So this last week, highlights were wrapping up my internal medicine rotation. I took my end of rotation exam on Friday and passed. Thank God. I only have 3 written exams to go, you guys, which feels so good. I've probably hit 60 exams at this point, I think. I had counted at the end of didactic year how many exams I had taken. It was somewhere, I think that I had got up in the 50s, and I've taken 6 of 7 of my end of rotation exams, so I wouldn't be surprised if we've hit 60. So they were right. Tests don't faze me as much as they used to, but I definitely still have a lot of test anxiety, which has been new for me in PA school, and honestly in ways that I don't even really notice as much. Like, I'll just be very on edge and anxious throughout the week leading up to a test, and then remember, oh yeah, it's probably because I have this exam looming over my head. But these end of rotation exams are 120 questions, 2 hours long. I don't think I was as nervous for this one because I had just taken my end of curriculum exam the week before, which was 5 hours, and it was whatever 5 times 60 is how many questions it was, because it's 60 questions in 60 minutes 5 times. And that was a beast. I mean, that's like 2.5 end of rotation exams. That is 2.5 end of rotation exams. And so just having done that and all of the prep that I put in for that, having this internal medicine EOR was just a lot less daunting, especially because my end of curriculum was everything, and internal medicine is kind of a little bit of everything too. And so I felt pretty prepared, and it was my best EOR yet, which was a really good feeling going into the last, my gosh, like 2 months before I graduate and take my boards. I'm excited to be back in the outpatient environment. Being in the hospital's just very overwhelming, like I talked a lot about last week, and so I'm really excited to get back into my clinic groove because I feel like that's just definitely where I feel more comfortable. But being in the hospital was definitely an experience that I needed to have. I had been in the hospital before this past rotation, but this past rotation was at a huge hospital, and so just a very, very fast-paced, unique environment. I think that environment is just definitely one that I would have to get used to over time. My last rotation that I have ahead of me is pediatrics, and I'm very excited about it. I have never been in like a all peds environment. Like, anytime I've ever seen kids, it's been when I've been in a specialty or in my family medicine rotation. But even then, I feel like I didn't see a ton of kids in my family medicine rotation. So it's going to be a big challenge because I'm very, very used to and comfortable with seeing adults. And so it's going to be a big challenge just seeing kids. I just know I'm going to learn so much and grow a ton in learning how to interact with kids in that way, you know, talking about their health and really trying to evaluate, you know, where a kid is at just through your conversation with the child and their caregiver is really hard. Like, I think that pediatrics gets this kind of rap as, because it's kids, it's fun and a lighter area of medicine, which it probably totally can be because kids can be that way. But I just think that the added challenge of kids being kids and, you have their parent as this equal part of all of the decisions that you're making with the child about their health and stuff, that it'll just be a new challenge to just grow and my ability to navigate those relationships, and it'll be great. And then I go back to school for a few weeks. We present on this other project that we're doing. We do some studying, I graduate, and I take my boards at the end of August. So the end is actually near. Other big highlight of this week was my youngest brother, Beau, turned 21 on the 26th. So happy birthday, Beau. We spent Thursday and Friday with him, Luke and I did, and had the best time. Went to Zorba's, which, if you don't know what Zorba's is, it's worth stopping and chatting about that for a second, because what a strange place. Such an iconic place, but what a strange place. It's this chain of restaurants throughout, I think, just northern Minnesota. I don't think they're in southern Minnesota. But their shtick is that they are a pizza and a Mexican place. But their other shtick is that everything that they do, like on the menus, any signs in the restaurant, their socials, everything is about replacing the S with a Z. And it's become such a joke in my friend group to just do that in all of our conversations when we're up north. We'll just look at each other and say, "Oh, you're being so silly," or whatever. I don't know. But Zorba's is iconic. If you have never been, it's just a rite of passage of the northern Minnesota experience. Went there on his birthday, and then we went to Friday of Lakes Jam and saw Riley Green, who is so good. I have been on such a Riley Green kick. He is just so talented, and I absolutely love his songs. He was so good live. Like, his voice sounded amazing. He has a lot of songs that are like slower, and so you never really know how that's going to be at a concert, but I mean, that's just his vibe, and it was so fun. So we splurged a little bit and got VIP tickets for Beau's birthday. And the coolest part of these VIP tickets was in that section, every night of the festival, they have a performer playing live just for the VIP area. When we were there, we got to watch this girl who I had not heard of, but I wanted to share her with you guys. Her name is Kaylin Saz. And not only is she adorable, but she was so talented, and she's a songwriter. I absolutely loved her songs, and I've been listening to them since the concert. One of her songs is called Wine About It, and I actually have a little bracelet that says Wine About It with a little wine charm. There was a merch table next to the stage that she was performing on, run by none other than her mother, which I absolutely loved. And Luke and I were listening to her and just loving her. He looked over and was like, "We have to go get something and support her." And so we just went over, and he got me this little bracelet. After she was done performing, went up and talked to her, and she told me she's from Nebraska, so she's also a Midwest girl, and now she lives in Nashville. So Kaylin Saz, and her name is spelled Kaylyn, and then her last name is Sahs. She was so sweet, so talented, and definitely deserves all the love, so go give it to her. So before I decided, I'm just not really going to do my present thing, I didn't even include sports as supposed to be part of it. But I had started making a list of the things I was going to talk about, and under sports, I just have Twins are losing, and honestly, I don't follow the Twins that much. So there's not even that much sports to even be unpacking right now. So again, another reason why we're just kind of ditching present for now. In terms of just how I'm doing, I feel like that this show has been very therapeutic for me, and it's just given me a lot of purpose in talking about my grief and just doing an actual check-in on how I'm doing. Historically, over the past few years, summer has just been a really hard time for me. It's all a hard time, but really June and July have been really hard months in the past few years. The death anniversary of the boys is at the end of July, And I've noticed that I have a really physical response to the days and weeks leading up to that anniversary. It's, of course, emotional in the sense that looking back at all of the memories of these months was the peak time of Sam and I growing our relationship and getting to learn all about him and fall in love with him and all those great things. But I think what really gives me that physical response is this trauma response in my body building up to experience that day again. So far, honestly, June has been okay. But for whatever reason, I just have had that really physical reaction the past few years, and I am trying to just really listen to my body and, you know, do the things that feel good and feel right leading up into it. Some of the ways that I feel like grief showed up for me this last week was surrounding Beau's birthday. He turned 21, which is a year older than Mac ever got to be. I know that for our whole family, it's another one of those glimpses of pain that comes through in what's supposed to be just exciting and happy. And I've found that to be true in pretty much every sort of milestone and happy event that comes, that there's always that reminder of your really special person who's not there. And they always seem to be intertwined with what should be the really positive things. So this week, the grief topic that I wanted to talk more about was the things that you can do to support people who are going through out of order loss or just really traumatic experiences in general. Something that's been a really humbling experience for me, especially in my clinical year, is realizing that there are so many similarities and ways that I can relate to people who have experienced traumatic events in their life that are so different than what I experienced. Like people who are different ages than me and totally different stages of life, but like having this very deep understanding of what it feels like to walk through the world, having gone through such terrible loss and pain. So I think that the things that I'm going to say really translate to hard seasons and traumatic events that happen, not just death, and not just the kind of death that I experienced in my life with sibling and partner loss. I just feel like that it's good to talk about how we can be there for each other. It's a really hard relationship to navigate. Even as someone who has experienced out of order loss and the trauma that I experienced, I still will struggle in my personal relationships with people that are navigating their own challenges, because it is just a really uncomfortable thing to not fully understand what someone has gone through, and knowing that they have gone through something that is so significant and life-changing, and just wanting to make sure that you're doing the right thing, that you're not saying the wrong things. And so I've just thought of a few things that I feel like can help guide you through that, so that you don't just stop and retreat because you don't know what to do, so you just don't do anything. And the first tip that I have is just be there. I feel like that something that I definitely experienced, and I know others have experienced in hard seasons and trauma, is people in their life just don't show up because they don't know how. It's easier for them to just retreat and do their own thing and do their own life instead of showing up and being there. We'll talk about how you can be there, but it doesn't feel good to be in that position, especially in the immediate days, weeks, months following the event. It feels very lonely to feel forgotten in a time where you're at your lowest. And I think that something I didn't really understand before a huge trauma like this happened to me was never underestimate the power of just being there and making your presence known as a friend, as a family member. You don't have to say the right things. You don't have to do the right things. Whether it is through texts or phone calls, someone just seeing your name, even if they aren't replying, I can promise you that you will never make someone feel bad by reaching out and showing up, but you will make them feel forgotten and feel very lonely. I feel like something I hear a lot of people say is, I didn't reach out at first because I just wanted to give you time. And the reality is that this is kind of a lifelong thing. I'm never really going to not be grieving and not be in this healing journey that I'm on. And so it doesn't really matter what time you decide to reach out. It's just a matter of doing it, and it's never too late. The more honest you are, the better. I'm not a perfect friend. I feel like I've become a bad friend in some ways, with feeling like my cup is so empty all the time, feeling like I don't have a lot to overflow and give to others. Letting go of that expectation that you put on yourself too, that if you didn't show up at the beginning, that you never can, because that's not true either. I can also guarantee that that person would love to hear from you now than to never hear from you again. It's never too late. Honesty will never be taken the wrong way. Like, true, pure honesty will never be misinterpreted. I would so much rather that someone approaches me and says, I'm so sorry that I left you in the dust when Mac and Sam died. I just didn't really know how to approach you. And that's not how I wish I would have gone about it, but it's the way that I did. And I can't take that back. But what I can do is show up more for you moving forward. And I can pretty much guarantee that a conversation like that will always be received well. Because the people who are going through these painful times, they don't know what they're doing. They are just trying to survive each day. And so I think that that's the other kind of key piece of showing up is you don't have to show up and have this extravagant day planned out or whatever. I mean, even just texting like, hey, how's today? Or saying, hey, can I come over and go on a walk with you? Or can I come pick you up and we go eat or go grab coffee? Just those small gestures are honestly, like, that's perfect. You don't have to do anything crazy. People just want to feel that love and support that they just lost in their person dying. They don't want to feel like that this pain that they have to live in every single day is too hard for everyone else in their life to deal with, and that it's just easier for those people to kind of move on. They want to feel loved and supported, and the simplest acts go absolutely the furthest. Okay, so second tip that I have is remembering the hard days. I don't think that it's not a requirement, but I think that it's something that goes a long way just to put on your calendar the day that someone's loved one died, to write down their loved one's birthday, or to shoot them a text around holidays, and just acknowledge that there's probably challenges and that you love them and that you're thinking about them because they're thinking about it. And to have that validation of just knowing that they're not alone is so huge. Next thing is to remember their person. This goes along a little bit with what I was talking about of remembering the hard days. Remembering and acknowledging their person that passed in their everyday life. I feel like the holidays is just such a good example to use, but I mean, it can really be used for like what are supposed to be really happy events like graduation or a wedding or a baby being born. Like simply acknowledging their person because you know that they're already thinking about it will again go so far in just making them feel seen and loved. I know what it feels like to feel like that when people look at you, they totally forget about your people who passed. And just in conversation, if they ask, how many siblings do you have? It gets to a point where I have to say, well, Mac passed away. And they say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And it's always such an interesting response to me. And I know it just comes out of them feeling like they just don't want to be causing any sort of pain by bringing up that person. But to me, Mac is always at the forefront of my mind. So someone bringing him up doesn't make me just automatically remember. I'm always thinking about him, and I love the opportunity to get to talk about him and to be able to share my memories with him. So I think that that's a good reminder too, that you bringing up their person, you're not reminding them that they're gone. They know that they're gone. If anything, you're reminding them that they were loved. And people need to remember that the people that they love were loved by other people too. I gotta take a sip of water. We're talking today. I've been writing out my episodes just so that I make sure I'm articulating things exactly how I want to articulate them, and so that I stay on task. But I feel like today I just really wanted to try to speak from my heart and not be written out perfectly. I mean, I could go on and on about really wonderful ways that people show up to support, especially in those immediate weeks and months following someone dying very tragically. But I feel like that what people don't know how to navigate as well is more so the things that I've talked about of how do I show up later down the line when I hope you now understand how when someone dies tragically, their loved ones are automatically signed up for this lifetime of grieving that person. It's not just those first few months or first year, it's a forever kind of thing. I think that I just want to help people better understand that the people in your life who have lost someone like that are the same people that they were before, and they're completely different people at the same time, in the sense that they have this piece of their heart that is new and it's not going anywhere, and the pain associated with the love that has nowhere left to go. So I definitely was much more all over the place. To recap, what I feel like my main points were is just be there. It doesn't have to be crazy. It doesn't have to be this long, well thought out gesture. Just show up. Remember the hard days if you can. Just know that those simple check-ins on hard days and hard times and recognition of that person goes a long way. And then remembering the person. And if you have memories of that person's loved one, I'll make those known when you guys are together. If something reminds you of that person, send that person a text and tell them, oh, I just had this experience that totally reminded me of your brother, and I just wanted to share it with you. Like, those experiences are so incredibly special to hear about. And like I said, just remembering that the person in your life who lost someone or who is going through a really challenging time has no idea how to navigate this either. Just by being really honest in your conversations with them. You'll never say the wrong thing if you are communicating that you don't know what the right thing to say is, but you want to do what you can to make the person in your life feel loved, feel supported, and feel seen in this life that they're navigating now that they have no idea how to navigate themselves. You're never going to fix their grief, but you can be a good friend. Small acts and small gestures that people do in the years following the death of your person's loved one is truly life-changing. The one thing that we are going to do that I said we were going to do the first week is my special person of the week shout out. I've got a few people that I want to shout out. We're just going to do one every week to really give that person their time and their space. I don't want to open these until I'm reading them on the podcast because I just want the first time that I'm getting to know this person's loved one who died to just be able to communicate how I'm touched by their story. So these special person shout outs are going to be something that is emotional because there's so much pain in losing people, but there's also so much love, and I just can't say enough how honored I am that people want to send me a message to be able to share their person with all of you. And just know that I take this so seriously, and I'm so humbled by your honesty and authenticity in sharing your pain with me, and in turn sharing that with whoever is joining us here on this show. So thank you so much. So this week we are going to be talking about Dylan, who is the best friend of Austin Barzy. I hope I'm saying your name right. And in these submissions, just so if you're listening, I put, an option for people to put in their name, their person's name, if they want me to share those things, and then just anything that they want to share about their person who passed for all of you to learn about them. So I'm just going to read it word for word. This is Austin sharing his love for his best friend Dylan, who died by suicide. Dylan was 16 when he left this earth. Dylan is such an amazing friend and person to many. He loved hockey, hunting, and fishing. He had a special voice due to a rare condition he fought with for his entire life. Some things I'll always remember him for is his hugs, his laugh, and his smile that never left his face. Since I've known Dylan, no matter the time or place, he would always come up and hug me and surprise me. Even when he was struggling, he would always make sure I was okay. One of a few men in my life to ever tell me he loved me. I think about him every day and will miss him forever. Dylan saved my life, and I will never be able to thank him enough. Thank you so much, Austin, for sharing about Dylan so that we're able to know him. This is just such a humbling moment for me to be able to share about Dylan. And thank you, Austin, for your courage to share your experiences with him. I just want to end each week right off with the special person so that we can all move on with our days thinking about this person and what we're doing, and hopefully commemorating them in some special way. So with that, just a reminder that I'm here and I really care about each and every one of you who's listening to this, and my messages are always open. Thank you so much for listening if you're here, and thank you again to Austin and to the people who share their stories about their special person, because I truly don't take it lightly. Thank you guys, and we'll talk to you next Monday. Bye.